Hey guys, welcome back. So today I just got a pretty casual video for you guys. We have a rather massive leak potentially about Halo Infinite's multiplayer and Banished invasion, as well as even more news about something is coming on November 9th, even more evidence that there's probably going to be a massive reveal, and according to some leaks and rumors that we are getting a multiplayer reveal for a beta that is coming later this year, or next year rather, March and April. But let's first jump into this leak. So yeah, it's just a text. Anyone could have wrote this, and it's not necessarily true. What's in this post has got me really thinking, unlike most leaks and rumors do. So I decided to cover this one because this one I found extremely intriguing, and it made sense, and it sounded right and potentially true along the lines of the release and also what 343's got planned, and some vague ideas about what this new multiplayer mode is going to be that we've been talking about so much recently. This is what the potential leak says. They say Halo Infinite is going to not only be a spiritual reboot of Halo as a whole, it is also a spiritual sequel to the Master Chief Collection and will function very similar. The current plan for the 2020 decade of Halo is to continue the mainline story through a series of feature-length campaigns that will be published over time, similar to how Halo Reach and Halo 4 have been there, being published on the MCC on PC in increments. There are currently plans for 4 chapters, including Infinite's launch campaign to be added over the decade, along with 2 spin-off games that are currently in the planning stage. So I just want to stop here. There's a lot more, but this actually makes a lot of sense because they've been talking about how the Slipspace engine is essentially a foundation for the next 10 years. And that actually makes a lot of sense. So instead of there being Halo Infinite 2, for example, or whatever you want to call the sequel, they are basically putting it in the game as DLC. So it's going to be all sort of under the same umbrella, under the same systems, albeit most likely are going to improve over time. And what would be even really cool is if Halo Infinite, the first one of this new trilogy or whatever, releases, next year, and then the sequel releases a couple years after that. And if they're on the same engine, maybe they will be improved over time. So as the new engine is upgraded for the sequel, it'll be upgraded in the current campaign, the current multiplayer, and it will just kind of go along with the ages. So it'd be like free updates for older Halo games, which would be kind of cool. And I never thought about, and might be why they keep talking about the Slipspace engine being a foundation. But be sure to let me know what your own thoughts are about this. I like the idea of there being chapters and being under one big system that can improve the older games over time, although that's not really what they say here, but I think it's heavily implied. But the rumor leak thing goes on to say, although with each additional chapter through the 20s, a refined multiplayer experience will be updated, as well as the Slipspace engine is upgraded throughout the decade. So right there, pretty much what I was saying. This will also work similar to MCC with how there are several different versions of Halo's multiplayer inside the game itself. As for the launch, there is still no definite date planned, but 343 is aiming for a window for March to June for the release. So I'm not quite sure what kind of person and what kind of position would be leaking this stuff, which again, I mean, it has to be pretty high up, and that's why I'm thinking it's probably just, fake. But taking this with a grain of salt, that actually makes a lot of sense. I've been listening to other Halo YouTubers like Sean W. for a while now, and I've been sticking to my guns up until a few weeks ago that I think that the game is going to release all the way in holiday 2021, right? That just makes the most sense to me. I think that a full year makes sense because 343 is working at home. They basically lost, several months of development, maybe about 6 to 8 months of development. So, because of them working at home and everything that's happened. But with the game releasing a little bit, halfway, not quite early spring, kind of like early summer almost, that actually makes a lot of sense to me because what we are getting November 9th is probably going to be a mass reveal, and it's going to show the campaign updated. It's probably going to look a lot better, I hope. And, the whole reveal was just such a flop, in my opinion. It did the job, but it could have been way better, and certainly did not capture the appeal of like the Halo 4 reveal, Halo 5 reveal, or even the MCC reveal. So Halo Infinite's been in development for, it's going to go on to 6 years almost. So they got to have this really epic reveal, right? And I think November 9th is going to be the time. You know, RVB is going to drop that day. The Redshift skin is going to drop that day. Xbox Mexico, also New Zealand / Australia Xbox accounts announced something that day, as well as another post by senior marketing manager at Xbox has shared this. Thanks to Sean W. for pointing this out to me. But again, he is pointing out the fact that there is something big happening for Australia and New Zealand, and we are probably just awaiting for Microsoft to make an announcement for US times, for European times, and stuff like that, so those audiences are updated. But this seems like just a little delay, but this just seems like a little marketing delay, and I'm sure that we're going to get some kind of update at least 7 to 8 days before the event starts. So November 1st, November 2nd would make sense. And also think about how the Xbox Series X is releasing around November 10th to 13th. I forgot which one, but that's when the consoles drop. And so there's going to be something big that happens around that time, and they're probably going to want to hype up the Xbox Series X to get as many sales as possible. But anyway, the rumor goes on to say the main multiplayer mode that 343 is working on at the moment is a redefined invasion game mode. With it, they are aiming for a Battlefield-styled experience in terms of scale and destruction, with a 45 versus 45 UNSC versus Banished playstyle. So we already know, this is why I like this rumor so much and really got me thinking, because everything is basically explaining what 343 is doing with evidence that we already know, which again could be evidence why it's fake, but this main multiplayer mode is something that me and Sean W. have been talking about for a couple months now, that there is something big in the works. And Bonnie Ross pretty much already said that there is arena and then whatever you want to call it, Battle Royale or our bigger play. And there's also the armor coatings, which is a big sign that microtransactions are coming and are going to be there to support a big game mode, something that the Halo Infinite experience is going to be all about, sort of like Warzone in Halo 5. And 343 has already expressed that they are interested in essentially reach customization, that's what they're trying to do, whether you believe them or not. That's what they're trying to do, they say. And we also know that there is a lot involving Halo Infinite going back to its roots to Halo Reach. And it would make sense because there's going to be returning armors from Reach, most likely. There's a lot of toys that are being marketed as Halo Infinite toys that are just Reach armors. We even see Cat and other Noble Team members, being advertised along all this. And even Master Chief's main assault rifle is just basically, it's designed off the Reach assault rifle, which was pretty different from the others and is pretty iconic, and it's basically taken a slight spin on that. So I'm really curious to see what this Banished versus Spartans mode is, and I think it would be absolutely amazing to finally play as Brutes, and that just sounds so absolutely right in my opinion, with Warzone taking 12 versus 12 players, in that big battlefield with AI. It makes sense that 343 would want to kind of raise the ambitiousness on that big main mode and make it something that's maybe even like Battle Royale. And like the Xbox Japanese post pretty much confirmed, is that the game is free to play and also 120 frames per second. And that was officially confirmed later. But the third thing that Xbox Japanese page, the official Xbox Japanese page, confirmed was that Halo Infinite is a Battle Royale shooter. And I think whatever this mode is, it's probably going to be Banished versus UNSC, all right? And it's going to play out like Team Battle Royale, which honestly is so freaking fun. If you haven't played it on Fortnite, or I don't know if it's ever been available on Apex Legends, but when I played it on Fortnite, it honestly made so much sense to me that it honestly felt like a really fun, incredible mode. And that could tie in with the armor coating news that we're getting now, is that, you don't need to worry about being red or blue. You will be able to pick whatever color Spartan or Brute you want. And because everyone will be able to identify what a Brute is versus what a Spartan is here on the battlefield. So it doesn't matter what color your armor is, right? But they also say invasion, and an invasion, if you don't remember or want to recap, essentially is like a 3-step game mode where there's basically one side is defending the elites versus, the UNSC pushing in, or vice versa. And it could be a mix of territories, or kind of like capture the flag, or capture, the package and bring it back to a drop ship, and that made, it kind of felt like Rush almost from Battlefield. So there was, really epic scope kind of sizes, and you could could get rewarded, spawning in different areas. You could get into the Banshee or Wraith, for example, and this would change the game mode. And to imagine that 343 has built upon that scope on Invasion, and then also perhaps added Battle Royale into it, sounds incredibly dynamic, sounds incredibly fun, and I'm really excited to see what they potentially have planned here, because that sounds really, really cool. And kind of building off Halo 5's multiplayer and kind of improving it as we have thought for a while. So, and why this is just, a text leak. Anyone could have wrote this. There's nothing really officially backing it up, like imagery or some kind of inside information. This is all very curious to me, and I find it very interesting. And the fact that we are probably getting a reveal just about, November 9th, just about 2 weeks from now. This is usually the time when leaks start popping up before something big happens. And we kind of saw the same thing happen in the past few years with Halo Infinite. So it is certainly in the realm of a possibility I've decided to cover because it just seems so likely. But there's a little bit more. They say later in 2021, there's also plans to release a Battle Royale style game mode for free set on Zeta Halo. 343 has also wanted this BR unlike any to come before, and there are some big, and I mean big, plans for this. So I wonder what they mean by that. Maybe it's going to be 300 players instead of the standard 100 or 150. Maybe it's going to bow to Halo's arena formula, with wheat vehicles just laying around maybe randomly. Honestly, there is so much potential, and after playing Battle Royale with Infinite Forges and Sean W. and all the other guys, I mean, this is just really, really cool. And honestly, I don't think there's any harm in doing this as long as there's still arena in the same game modes that we've always loved and aren't being completely influenced by armor abilities, for example. Anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching. Be sure to drop this video a like if you ended up enjoying, and subscribe here on HaloFollower for plenty more Halo news, and hit that notification bell to be updated as soon as a new Halo news or lore video goes out here on HaloFollower. All right, I'll catch you guys in the next one soon. You take care. Peace.